Okay, that was perfect timing, man. Look at that, Pepe. You are on the ball.
Bring it down hard.
On the ball, man.
Someday.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro.
Let's do this. Let's do this. IAE time, man. Woo! Feeling good. I got to refill my coffee. I'll be right back, guys. Tell me what I miss.
You guys had Monty Python here, right?
Yeah, I remember this sketch.
Yeah, the Four Yeomanry.
Oh, we used to dream of living in a box.
It's a dream of living in a corridor. No? Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live. I'm Jared, and this is the show they let me do for some reason. Joining us on the show this week, we have members from our esteemed, what are your teams called now? Because didn't we just do a big restructure? What do you have team names yet? Or are they still trying to work that down? Anyway, we got people from one of the kind of the FPS team, the shooty and the punchy and the player interaction-y team. So we don't know what their team name is yet. So we're just going to go straight to the people. We got Zach, Inez, and Jens. Zach, Inez, Jens. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. This is your first time in the spaceship for all of you, right?
Yeah, it looks
I've had a look around before, but this is the first time being filmed.
I can't believe you
thank you, Limitless. Sorry, I love this woman. Inez.
Unexpected.
How do you pronounce her? Inez? I don't know, but I love this girl.
Crazy. It's really nice.
She's awesome.
It's cushy.
They're good. They're comfortable.
Yeah, but with the gravity on,
Yeah.
it's easier to sit down than it was earlier.
No Vandal have smashed into the spaceship yet, so
That's
I'm
true.
happy.
Effing nerds. All right, so
You got to compose yourself a lot for this one.
well, there's usually a big period of time where I got to prep. We get to like do some Zen time, and I get to focus and get ready for. I didn't get any of that today, so
I hear that.
I was just under the desk and
like
playing with wires a couple minutes ago. So Jens, Inez, and Zach are here. They were three of the four people. Francesco Riccucci from our Frankfurt office is unavailable to join us today, who presented live from the first person at CitizenCon. And we thought we'd bring them on the show and have them answer some follow-up questions that came from you, the Star Citizen citizens, which we collected on Spectrum throughout the week and let you guys vote up the questions. We let them pick the questions. I have not seen the questions. It's part of my normal prep and whatnot, but we let them pick the questions and I didn't do my job. So we're just going to jump right into it because we got Yogi waiting to do the second half here. So Jens. Really, this is going to be for anybody, but I'm just going to look at Jens.
I feel like I'm more prepared than Jared, by the way.
Some people
get some applause for that?
Are already calling the new radar and ping mechanics walls. Can you tell, because you can tell all the, or can you tell us all of the upsides, the downsides, and the possible ways for people to remain undetected,
right?
So that people would stop calling it that?
Thank you, Aether. Well, I bet that was fun, Aether.
Where to start? So definitely a concern internally too, right? So I would say visually very strong at the moment. Like if you ping someone, as you saw in the video, you see them and almost nothing else because it's such a strong visual. So definitely that needs tuning. There's a lot of work left to do on that. There's the time it takes to charge up the ping. There's whether you should be able to see through all types of occlusion. Can you have thicker walls, stuff like that to make encounters different?
How about gear that's
giving tons
suppresses
of parameters for designers to tweak, like pierceability, range, signal noise ratio.
How about jamming equipment? How about jamming equipment?
My radar or my scanner better than your anti-scanner, whatever you want to call it. I think
everybody needs a little bone in their life. Those are the kind of things we
can do on the technical side, the engineering side to do it. But then at the end of the day, it's probably more Zach's side to sort of say like how will design use those tools to.
Yeah. So obviously we don't want to make it busted. That was a very strong version that we showed off. We said gameplay balance in progress, I believe. But it's the case of like, how emissions tie into this, right? So for example, we have the idea of decoys and jammers potentially on suit. Those could be, components inside suits that would essentially make your emissions much lower, maybe practically invisible. That's obviously going to be down to gameplay balance. And if you're in like a heavy armor, maybe you have heavy emissions. But there's always like, there's a forward and backward with this, right? So if you're light and you're invisible and you scan, for example, a heavy,
they'll balance it.
You should be able to see him in theory.
It's going to take time.
But if there's a heavy, for example, and he scans you, and you're in more of a suit with a much lower emission, or you're in a state with much lower emissions,
they're going to.
You potentially might not come up. So there's so many things we can do to balance it, and we essentially showed it at its strongest.
I like
right?
this.
Because when we communicate something out like that, we always want people to see how is that in its like almost maybe potentially your strongest state and things like that. So I mean, gameplay balance, all of that is in flux. It's tweakable. It's changeable. So obviously, we don't want an experience to be
I'll look it up right now.
to be trivialized
We'll
by
play it after this.
anything like radar becoming a crux essentially, right? We're completely aware of that, and obviously, we're conscious of that. We play the game ourselves, and we wouldn't want that happening to players.
I think it's very. First of all, I think it should go without saying, but we always get new people every week, every month, every year. So it bears repeating that nothing you've ever seen, ever, on any ISC, SCL, CitizenCon, Pillar Talk. Gosh, we've done so many shows with these. Is ever final. Like we've never ever showcased anything that's final. That's not what we do. We are always showcasing our work in progress. We'll wait until it's presentable. We'll wait until
that they have to repeat this over and over again.
An almost complete picture of what we're trying to do.
I don't know how they do it.
But we're not the people who wait until it's done to show it to you. We're not the people who wait until it's done to put it in the game for testing. That's just not who we are at CIG. So it's always important to remember that whatever you see, wherever you're seeing it, is always this work in progress. And for something like scanning and radar, it's much easier to take it all the way to the max and then prune it down like a tree. It's harder to add twigs and figs back to a tree after you've cut them down. So it's, you start with as big a tree of features as possible, and then you start pruning it down through the
people are just way too
anti-scanner, which we're going to call that now. Everybody just go through. It's not jammer anymore. It's anti-scanner.
I'm Swedish. I make words up. I love the English language because you make words up.
I'm not. I prefer it. Work. Yeah, no, I'm embracing it. I'm not making fun. So it's just much easier to bring it down and find all the ways to impact it and stuff.
It's a tragedy.
I was going to mention one more thing.
Yes.
Also, if you think of it from a PvP point of view, it's more like if you do a ping to find people, like Zach was saying, you might see people that have the right thing, but they will see you. Right, so you're basically going like, it's like a taunt. I'm saying like, I'm gonna check if there's anyone here, but I also know probably everyone's not gonna know that I'm here.
Let's just not go on that concept, and we want jamming. We want
it's a bit of a tricky beast for PvP that I feel definitely tune more towards PvP.
We want jamming.
Yeah, I think anybody that's ever worked for any MMO in the world is going to tell you that PvP tuning is never done. It's just this constant, ever-evolving, ever-changing beast.
That's a nice thing, right? Because if you really dislike such
PvPers know that.
Like radar and scanning, it's like, okay, you can
put the
armor on,
which
is heavily resistant to that. So you will be able to have the player expression that you want to be able to get the gameplay that you want to facilitate.
Next question. Let's see. Really excited for the IK-powered interactions with buttons and control panels. Any thoughts at this point for interactions that are out of the player's reach?
Yeah, so we didn't show any, but yeah, we do have a version that we're calling for now Bluetooth. The naming is still
what was it called?
Bluetooth, but it's still naming is still not
same time.
No, I don't think so as well. I mean, I wanted like Luffy,
Good morning,
like Rubber Man,
Good to see you.
because we touch the buttons, but no. So the version we have is like the player will play an animation of interacting with his mobiGlas, and we have an animation on the screen as well, telling that he's interacting with the object, and then we trigger the interaction.
So in the chat said space 2 for the
No, well, I'm just going to go on record right now. If this thing ends up being called Startooth, I'm quitting. following up on that then, are there going to be ship interaction animations when using a ship touchscreen? Are there going to be ship interaction animations when using a ship touchscreen MFDs, or is it only for physical buttons?
My dad used to say, good to be seen.
No, we do have some physical interactions with some UI screens, like the we showed for like the elevator panels. But anything like any more screens are with more complex interactions, we are avoiding it. Like it's a bit hard to get the balance. Like we want to do some, I don't know, search or like do certain operations in the screen. So having that doesn't really work very well. We talked about maybe having a pose on a player, having a bit with more connection. So maybe we actually see the player with the hands on the side. Not for ships, but
the only time I'd like that kind of feature is in the hacking process.
All this is still.
But it looks like that's a no-go.
No, at the moment.
So I don't know what that means for the future of hacking.
I would just quickly say that one thing for me that was important is that
but it's a good answer.
you don't start putting the hand onto the UI, and it's quite like a high fidelity UI. Then you start obscuring the UI.
Fingers.
So that was quite
kind of disappointed in that respect. Kind of disappointed in that respect.
That sort of, you kind of want to bring the UI in focus, right? And you want to use your screen space, and you want to see what's going on there. You want to see all the little interesting transitions and interactions. You don't want to see a big hand covering everything interesting happening. So
that's an interesting point that I hadn't actually considered. This. Chris is always fond of saying you bring it to the point of realism, then you bring it back to the point of fun. It's like, yes, it might be realistic to reach out and obscure the full touchscreen every time you're trying to do it, but like I said, because we try to have as many diegetic, user interfaces as possible, that would make it fundamentally impossible to try to read half of it. So you do have to kind of, how do you balance that? Is that just a gut feeling? Is there a metric internally, or is it just on a case-by-case basis? That's too much. Pull it back. That's not enough. Do more.
Trial and error. I think, a lot of the time, I think the elevator ones we used in the video are a great example, because they're like a list, very large, but large, friendly buttons. I would say they are perfect to press, right? Because that's all there is. And you go to something like the shopping kiosk, and it's a lot going on.
Yeah. Sadly, my request of making everything the fist slam got turned down.
Just everything.
Yeah, it's like, it's a true visceral experience, right?
It was really satisfying the first time I saw it.
It's really nice. I love it. They wouldn't let us do it on the toilets, because apparently it's too destructive and not delicate enough. You whack that handle, you're going to get a proper flush.
My toilet needs one of those.
They don't let me on here very often. I apologise.
Zach, do you know what the 3 seashells are?
3 seashells?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the youngsters.
Pete's shaking his head over there.
They had this conversation at CIG so much. They're like, "Do you remember this movie from the 80s?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't alive." I'm employed to make all the directors feel old, I think.
Well, good job. All right, Jens, maybe this one's for you, I don't know. Is part of the FPS weapon rework also removing the automatic reload of the weapon? Is part of the FPS weapon rework also removing the automatic reload of the weapon and rather allowing the player the choice to reload the magazine, swap the weapon, or do neither and run away instead? So I think they're talking about that every time you try to reload, it's pulled out, but then it's automatically once. So they want to interrupt it like halfway?
I mean, it should be possible to interrupt it already, but it's definitely, like I said, like going through now we got a lot more features, going through them and increasing the interactivity is like really high on our list, or our wish list, just to make everything feel smooth, and what you want to do is what you can do, and you're in control of what's happening.
I'm down for that.
Obviously, again, from the engineering side, there's challenging with, like, it's not always a very easy thing to implement systemically. A lot of the times you have to go into each type of feature and put in, like, where do you interrupt it? How do you queue it? How do you sort of if you've queued it and then you decided to do something else while it was queued, do you then unqueue it? All these things, like, I was jumping, then I land. Should I reload because I press reload while I was jumping and in the mid of the sort of heavy land animation or something?
I'm fine with more actions. You can always assign them.
As easy as design would like it to be, because they like to give us a big spreadsheet and like, make this.
That's the whole thing we're working on at the moment, right? It's called the action matrix. So essentially, this thing is basically supposed to make Star Citizen extremely fluid, like you'd expect. Like if you're doing actions, they have the intended result of what you think. So when you're playing a game, if you have to think about something, that usually means there's not the level of fluidity you'd expect, right? So for example, with our slide, if you switch weapon during the slide, like if you press 1, as soon as you go into the slide, the expectation of you would be, as soon as I regain control of my character, I switch weapon. And that's something that we have to manually put in because we have to basically author and dictate which actions can go into which other actions. So the whole idea of the action matrix work is essentially it's like a designer can go in and say, well, if I'm reloading and I want to be able to cancel out of it, I should be able to. And obviously that's something that, you know, we've specifically talked about a lot. We've heard it requested a lot as well. And it is something that we are planning on doing. Obviously that being the biggest example of how the action matrix will come in handy. So hopefully once the action matrix work is done, you'll have this very fluid experience that you expect in most contemporary FPSs.
Very lyrical.
And it'll never be done.
I like that.
Yeah.
They'll be like, we'll get the matrix, we'll implement it the way it is, and then someone tweaks it, we'll reiterate on it, and they go, and it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, sit and play it.
Yeah, because it's
also the case like right now. I feel like
when can you exit out of stuff, right, as well? It's like, for example, if you med pen, right, when you go douche like that, as soon as you pull out, it's that when we give control, and obviously there's a lot more like layers and depth that we can go into it, you know, how much expression do we allow of fluidity versus how much do we control and punish an action.
Is on his
so
vibe,
if you med pen, that's obviously quite, you know, a defensive action. You're getting your health back. You know, should we allow you to break early out of that? Does that allow skill expression by breaking out early? And you know, there's all these fun design questions that we can propose and easily put in now. Well, we say to you, can you please allow us to do that?
No figures, I was enjoying.
We'll try.
I was enjoying your song, dude.
We always try.
So the nickel version of that answer is we're working on a thing, we're referring to it as the action matrix.
Yes.
It'll probably be called the Star Action Matrix by the time it's released. We're so good at naming things.
I just realized what I should call the teams.
What?
Star teams.
By the way, if you're watching here on the morning show, I'll be right back here. We'll get the audio in a second. And you're wondering what's going on, this is a project we're all following called Star Citizen. We're very, very passionate about this project. It will be the everything game, the game that you imagined as a child. And that's why we're watching this. So if you're new to the morning show, you know, bear with us. If you don't know what Star Citizen is, just stick with us a little bit. You know, we're into this. Okay, we love sci-fi. Just stick in, and we got plenty of variety after this. You know, but you know, we like Star Citizen here.
Have the PU. It was a 2015 thing that was being developed back with our partners at Alphonic at the time because we didn't know when the PU was going to come online, and we wanted to get some zero-G testing. Once the PU came online, there was no real reason for Saddleback because we could just do all our zero-G testing there in the PU. So I'm surprised in the year 2023 this question still comes up, but it comes up enough times that every time I say it, I'm like, oh, I should really address that and whatever. And so Rico, Pico, or whatever the heck your name was, you're the one who got lucky drawn right there. Let's see, what else do we got? Can we expect, another IK button. Can we expect to see IK button interactions on things like shop kiosks? I think it'd be really neat to see others do it, but might be obstructive to your own view possibly. Well, this person was pressing it. So yeah.
Yeah, we kind of already touched that,
yeah,
so yeah. No.
Good job, whoever sent that question. I didn't get the name on that one. You were right. It would be obstructive. Will the looting screen? It's the end of the week. Will the looting screen be extended to armor and undersuits at some point?
Yes.
All right.
We're working on it. So yeah, PU version will have armor and clothing. Basically, we'll have two views. So we have the main view, which will be very similar to what we show at CitizenCon, and then the secondary view that the player can go to by using a keybind, a shortcut. Then we'll bring up the either clothing or armor, depending on the context, and all the similar operations we currently have for the other ones. Yep.
I remember that the looting screen was on screen for all of about 3 seconds at CitizenCon, and the chat was like, "Where's armor? Where's clothes? Where's armor?" It's like that. So I was like,
Yeah, I think like our main concern now at the moment, like, it's very clean because for Squadron we have a very controlled limit of items that the player can carry. PU can go wild with heavy armor, so I think we are in talks with the UI and user experience teams to try to balance it out, get the best experience. But
we touched on it with the UI team last week, but it bears repeating here because not everybody can watch everything that we do. These Squadron 42 technologies, these UIs, these features and whatever, they're not just brought over to Star Citizen by checking the multiplayer box and it going. A lot of these things have to be reshaped and reformed to work with the persistent universe. With a persistent universe that's continuously evolving, like when they were first developed for Squadron, they might have included the way the PU was working then. And then, but as they, it's always this thing of them diverging and then bringing them back, and then diverging and then bringing them back. We're in the process of bringing them back.
Welcome to development.
Right now. So those adjustments are what's going to take some time, and why we can't say that this will be out in January or.
A lot of Star Citizen content creators
February?
do not understand game development.
It's always
And that's just
the one thing I
way it
think
is.
of when I
Squadron
when I
42
see that
is
question is
basically
always
a
like.
separate thing.
So for me, you have the two screens, right? So you have the first-person screen, the loot screen. That's all about like I'm in the middle of combat. I need some ammo. I need some grenades. And I got the big screen where I'm a paper doll. I'm in the middle. I can dress myself. I can move things between bags. I can have my here's a bag with all the helmets I've collected. Here's one with my favorite knickknacks. And whatever, and it's funny when you say that the first people ask is where's armor. It's like they're in the middle of combat. Like I need a quick way to completely change my outfit because this encounter will not go well unless I'm wearing that pink helmet.
It is the screen as well. It is game changer. It is so nice. It works as you'd expect, and it's just fantastic to use.
Yeah, I think if you get it for the weapons, even if you don't get armors, it's such a win.
When you're panicking, you need to grab a med pen. You just have that it's that fluidity, right? It's like you've gone in, you grab the thing, it's done what you'd expected, and it's like, yes, I'm in the zone.
Bacon of War following along with Saddlebog. He's going to turn this to all the Necrode features. How is Grabby Hands doing? Grabby Hands isn't in development anymore either. We surpassed that with our interaction system years ago.
Grabby Hands was like...
That's one of those things.
Grabby Hands was
when
like 6
we do
years
weekly,
ago.
recurring a docu-series behind the scenes every single week of a game that's in development, you're going to see things that we try. And some things that we try work, and some things that we try don't. Grabby Hands didn't work. We've since that we got the whole player interaction system since then. So
yeah.
I'm assuming that was a genuine question and not somebody trolling me, so I answered it. Here's one. All right. So they were the second they saw the inventory, they were asking for armor. FPS compass? Ships have one. Why can't that be something in the FPS HUD?
Well, I have something I printed this especially. I don't know if we get zoom. I have to go to the camera.
We don't have a zoom yet.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the UI talk or the life in first person talk, you will see that there is an FPS compass. So you can go watch our panel or the UI panel, and it's here. So for the people who missed it, I've drawn a big red box and an arrow for you as well. Yep. So yes, we do have an FPS compass.
All right.
And we showed it at CitizenCon.
And you might need to make it bigger.
Twice. Well,
thanks for that.
It happens. We're having a laugh, but we showed a lot at CitizenCon.
Yes.
It's not. It's not completely unreasonable that something got missed.
Of course.
Across 8 hours, 2 8-hour days and whatnot. So
it's a lot of cool stuff.
The only reason why I did that was because that was the second most voted post on there, and I was like, come on, guys! Like, if you're on the thread for the panel of which one we showed all this stuff, and I was like, did you watch the talk? But of course, people missed it.
It was a long day with a lot of stuff, and not everybody has time to sit there and watch. And a lot of people, they instead choose to watch a little summary thing. They watch a YouTuber summary or a streamer summary, and things get missed.
There were soul patches.
It's just
hard
physics.
to pay attention after.
Obviously, when you're a developer and you're having lots of meetings about compasses and stuff as well, you're so invested about it, and when you finally get out, you're like, yes, and someone's like, where's that thing? It's
soul
like,
patches
we had like a 2-hour meeting about
totally game changing. Soul patches.
Yeah, but I'm not complaining about anything. Not everybody has all the time to do these things. It's the content creators that make the shortened version stuff are invaluable to getting the message out. But physics is simply if you take an hour-long thing and cut it down to 8 minutes, something gets
Lord
missed.
Vader.
So it happens.
He says, hello, community. May
Wow,
the force
we're
be with
just
you
hitting the
all.
big
Thank
ones.
you,
Okay,
Vader.
we went from armor to FPS radar to night vision.
Robin. Thank you.
Are different types of vision something you are working on right now? They will ask this question of every team. They'll ask it of the UI team. They'll ask it of the graphics team. They'll ask it of the FPS team. They're just hoping
By the way, we are having a giveaway,
has
everybody.
anything to say
This
ever.
month in November,
So-
if you're a
Something,
member
Zach.
or a patron,
Something.
you automatically
When-
entered into
Obviously,
our
when
giveaways.
we've
This
got,
month, Vanguard
we've got our
Warden.
new scopes. And
So
that is a
click
good
on
step
that
in
if you want to be
direction.
automatically entered into our giveaways.
You know, we've been talking to graphics about it and using the filter stuff that we have now. It is possible, and it is something we can look into, and potentially. So, no confirmations from us yet, but we've had those conversations. We're talking about it, and we need to figure out how we can do it, and
Fingers
where we
on
do it
the
and where we put
tangent,
on,
man.
and how it looks, and so on and so forth. But you'll have seen in the
Good to see you here, Lord
ASCAD
Vader.
sniper
Chill out
rifle
with us, man.
during the talk how there is like a tin, for example, on the sniper scope, and things like that are the sort of things that we're looking into, and having scopes with potentially like different shadings depending on manufacturers and things like that. So to slightly dance around the question, yes,
Just do it. Just make the night vision.
it's up to graphics, not me.
No, don't. Stop.
When I mentioned it to Ali, he ran away.
Just do it.
He was scared.
Thermal.
Tired.
Night vision.
Soon.
I let Jared fight for that. I like the Jared's fighting for that. Totally agree with Jared on that one. Way to go, Jared. Make it happen.
You get nothing out of me.
Make it happen, dude.
Speaking of things that we're gonna necro all kinds of topics here. Are the wide variety of FPS gadgets still in the works? Things like breaching charges, EMP, gravity, radar scatter, decoy grenades, placeable shields, repelling wire, jump packs, gliding packs. I don't know what gliding packs. So okay, like wingsuits, I guess. Maybe. What can you tell us? Anything about personal gadgetry?
Yes.
To mess shit up.
We're still working on those. Stuff like deployable shields. You've seen some laser trip mines. I believe they're on the PU now, and that's an example of a gadget that should
Those
hopefully
Titan
be
suits
coming
are
to the
gonna be
player.
awesome.
Some also more contemporary FPS things like flashbangs, smoke grenades, things you'd expect. The idea is we want to nail the core FPS experience before we move on to crazy sci-fi gadgets. So once we've got that stuff, it's nailed in, it's looking great, then we can move on to more crazy space things. So black hole grenade or anything crazy. You got to wait for that.
Come on, black hole grenades. That's a
before I get night vision. I know where you sit.
that sounds pretty badass.
It's specifically
Black
night
hole
vision.
grenades.
I'm tired of getting asked about it, Jens.
Ah, okay. Well, what about if I could give you either subtle or night vision? Which one would you have?
Night vision.
Night vision.
It's good to know.
Vision.
Jared's tired. Tired.
I feel for you, Jared.
I knew he was tired. I
I'll
was
see what I
saying
can
that
do.
when we watched the Inside Star Citizen last night. He's super tired.
Let's talk
man.
about
He's still
pouches.
recouping from CitizenCon.
There's a segue. I'm a child of the 90s comics era. I love pouches. One presentation showed off pouches we can attach to our gear to add additional storage space. Another presentation showed a more limited inventory window made for easy looting. Will the two systems work together, or are pouches already being phased out in favor of a streamlined Squadron 42 inventory system?
There will be pouches.
There will be pouches.
They are in concept. They will work with the
She's so
inventory we're
cute.
showing.
There will be
there's some
pouches.
concepts to be on the looting as well, and that's all. But yeah.
Because I'm not full on like whenever time I play a video game that has comic characters, I always got to use those 90s versions of the characters that have all the pouches, like the Scarlet Spider that's got the pouches on his ankles. He had little pouches on his ankles. I'm like, bring that stuff
It's like
back.
parachute
I love
pants,
that
man, in the 80s. Let's start with those.
Lost control of the show.
Yeah, you look like you're not holding it together at the minute.
I didn't get any time to prep. This is what happens.
He's tired.
We talked about ammunition. We talked about the reloading, the ability to interrupt, the ability to stop it. What about magazine repacking? Having multiple magazines with only a few rounds is quite annoying.
Ooh, do you want to talk about this?
I mean, I think in Ash on the looting screen, we actually showed a little bit of
We
this.
did, yeah. So it's probably a bit quick. It hasn't been balanced at the moment. So we call it the ammo repooling. But yeah. So the player can trigger for the different magazines using the looting screen, but the player can also trigger it outside of the looting screen. So if he's holding a weapon and you can trigger the ammo repooling using the same key binding for the looting, and that will trigger the repacking for the magazine that we're currently holding. But yeah, we're still balancing it at the moment. It's really quick, so there's really no consequence of using it. But,
let's see, we've almost had time. I think we would squeeze in one or two more, though. I want to talk about the slide mechanic. That was another one that set Twitch chat on fire during that. With the slide mechanic, how do you intend to mitigate hitbox abuse by rapidly crouching or uncrouching? Will this be done with inverse kinematics and inertia, making the player take some time to stand back up?
I mean, I can only talk about, like, if I flip the question and talk about the second half, I would say, like, I love procedural animations. It's one of the things I really enjoy about gameplay. Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't? But I definitely like it more than night vision, for sure. Inverse kinematics, like we're using for the buttons, like anything that makes you feel like, your character is actually touching the world. It sort of grounds them into the world so much more than an animation that sort of ends up like halfway between the intended target and where it should be, or having to offer a unique animation for every situation or every metric you might have.
Like humping a wall.
And in general, trying not to sort of force people into very specific metrics. These are all super important to me, so I can go on a long time. And then the other part of that was the inertialization, so that inertialized blending is something that I'm also really, really keen on, and we're definitely going to be exploring, because I think it will allow us to blend between a situation without traditional transition animations, and we can use the inertialization as ways to tweak the timings, like Zach was talking about. Like, do we punish you because you just did 3 slides in a row and your stamina is your heart is mega pounding. It's going to take you, it'll be like. It's about me standing up, like old man standing up instead of Zach, young man, he'll be up jumping on your desk before I even got out of the seat, right? So that side of the question, that's 100%.
It's okay, Trip. I don't think many people are awake right now. They're super the level of energize is not like typical DG.
Yeah, it's just while on the top slide.
Watch developers right now.
Yeah, you go.
While we're on the top slide, obviously the sliding has a high stamina cost. The more you slide, the stamina cost is times the aiming idle sway as well. So while you're aiming, if you're exhausted, it's worse as well. And you can't fire immediately as you get into the slide. So we're treating it as more of a get into cover tactic than it is an aggressive tactic. So we're wary of how arcadey sliding is, but we're also conscious of the fact that we want it to be a function that exists for more getting into cover currently. That's the intention
there you go, Aether.
Of sliding.
I mean, it's a slippery slope from sliding, then you end up skiing, then you end up with spin fusers, and then everybody's shouting Shazbot.
If you want to set them off, you say dolphin diving.
Oh, who's calling me?
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Somebody's calling me.
All right, last question.
Nope.
Do you have any more information to share regarding time to kill?
Yes. So you'll have noticed how it's now in the PU, I believe. We've done some balancing, and the health has. There's been tweaking of the overall combat experience at the minute. That is essentially step one of the further work we're doing. So the new AI has gone in, and you take more shots than you did previously. And if you're in PvP, you currently take more shots than you did previously. And this is an overall step forward to the balance that we talked about in the Life in First Person talk, where we want to increase the TTK and make an experience which is, fair and engaging in both PvE and PvP environments. because obviously there's been a lot of talk of frustration of, Star Citizen's like it's a lot of prep work, right? It's before you fly down to a planet, before you fly down to a bunker. Then, if you just walk out your ship and there's a guy hiding in a corner with an assault rifle and he beams you down, you've lost all that time. It doesn't feel overall fair. So we've done some changes and we're going to continue working on. This is the literal first iteration that has gone in, and it's something we'll be iterating patch to patch, receiving feedback. This feels too long, this feels too short, this is unfair, even tying into like the injuries as well, right? Anyone who's done a lot of bunkers will have noticed a lot of they're getting a lot more injuries now, for example. So obviously, we take the point of realism, bring it back to fun, right? So the cost offset of increased health is that you get more injuries. So you are, you not punished, but for engaging there is a consequence, and it's not, the consequence isn't death. Now here is basically a injuries. Medical system, medical gameplay, giving that more purpose, life, breadth, depth.
I was going to say, because any work on time to kill has to naturally include work on medical gameplay.
Yeah, medical gameplay.
You can't do those.
Yeah,
in a silo.
Yeah, it's a sparrowfish, right? It's one of those things where it's like we don't just go in and tweak a number. We have to think of all the other cascading consequences and effects of all those things.
Oh, is that what that is, Fingers?
Overall,
I was wondering.
The feedback's been quite positive. I've been annoying some Twitch streamers. I've been, annoying people on Reddit. Say, how do you feel about that? How's that going? Reading Spectrum, and just getting an overall idea of what people think about it, how they feel about the current direction, because it's a very contentious issue when people talk about health, because it's always one of those things where in-game play it's such a big thing that everyone has preferences as well, which obviously plays into it, and it's one of those things where we take a wide variety of feedback and we want to get somewhere where we can land the community's happy, everyone's happy, and it plays really good.
And this is so much more than just health. Health is just one aspect of this overall time to kill. Shields, health, armor, injury, medical gameplay, all these things.
And we're obviously all very conscious of that, and we're giving it to you now, and then you can give us feedback, and I think that's a good direction for us.
Right. Well, Jens, Inez, Zach, thank you for hanging out with us at the end of the week. Joining us here on the spaceship. Thank you for taking the time to pull the questions from the community. I want to stress again, these were all questions picked by the developers. So these are the ones that they wanted to address and jump in and had the best info for. So thank you so much for doing that. You can go back to your desks and start working on night vision, and we eagerly await any update you can give us on that.
I did forget to mention one thing.
What about night vision?
No, not even better. We're currently in the process of trying out if equipment obfuscates shots, because currently if someone hits like a magazine on your chest, you don't take any damage, and that's been a big community sticking point, and we're going to be trialing that and seeing how that goes and how that plays.
I like that realism.
Explodes?
The magazine will get wear and you will take damage as if you got hit.
I actually think that's smart, but there's going to be so many people that are upset about that.
If you want to call it Star Vision, I'll allow it.
There was a conversation about, if you shoot a grenade, it should explode on someone's body. And it was like, ooh.
Right. Jens, Inez, Zach, thank you so much. Who are you? Yogi, are you there?
I'm here. Hey.
Okay, we're going to take a break because Yogi's still here. And when we come back, we'll do part 2 where we follow up on the Taking Flight presentation. Stay tuned, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, I'll be right back, guys. I will be right back, and we will continue our fun here on Star Citizen Live. If you're watching and don't know what's going on, we decided to kind of do an impromptu, chill out session in one of our favorite games. If you're watching on DG360 and Star Citizen isn't your jam and you're still here, I got a special amen for you. Thank you very much for sticking through this with us. We're a bunch of sci-fi geeks and nerds. We love this type of stuff. Also, we are having a giveaway here for our Vanguard Warden. If you are a Star Citizen fan, you do want to be involved in our giveaways over $5,000 in 2023, thanks to St. Eric and St. Grizz. Hallow be their names. I need a Grizz growl. All right, I'll be right back. Pepe and I are going to chill out. We're going to make some more coffee. When we come back, part 2, and then we'll continue our platter. It's gonna be a long day. I feel like this has got a high energized stream. I know right now some of you guys are like, yeah, but us Star Citizen geeks and nerds, we love this. We need information on this game. We suck it out. All right, I'll be right back.
So yeah, it was a skit called The Four Yorkshiremen. You saw this show. Had they had this in Germany? They had Monty Python.
Sorry, your sound was garbled. Can you repeat that?
The Four Yorkshiremen from Monty Python.
Sorry, not my strongest suit.
Never mind. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of this week's show. We've got Principal Vehicle Programmer. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yeah, Principal Vehicle Programmer Yogi. Yogi on the show. You might remember him from the Taking Flight presentation, along with Diego and Inez, who was just here, and Tony. We've got just Yogi on for us today. We are going to dive right in. We are going to go. We've only got 20 minutes of the show, but considering that last week's show ran into some technical problems and we still haven't rescheduled for tours and everything, we're going to go into some extra innings in this week's. We think there's a lot of good questions here, and you guys certainly deserve it. Plus, it'll give you something to do while you're waiting for the website to come back up, because I understand that it's IAE Day 1 going on right now, and well, the website's going to website. So, Yogi, before we get started, I wanted to ask you, how was your presentation? How do you think it went? How was your experience at CitizenCon like?
I didn't see too much from CitizenCon actually, because we were like, when we thought the build was working, the water wasn't working, and panic broke out. With the help of Ali and Will, we got it all finished up. So it was okay, and then we had a really good Saturday night rehearsal. And then on the next day, the stick broke while the demo was on. It was stressful, but it was very fun. I love these times where you basically. Well, I'm on the receiving end of so much love from the community. It just keeps me going every day.
It's nice. You ready to do some questions?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, Bodhi.
To talk fast.
Bodhi, my cat, is being crazy right now. Bodhi,
let's just go. Let's just see where the wind carries us.
Bodhi, the cat's going nuts right now.
First question: with the new atmospheric model, how long is an average ship expected to be able to hover in place before the thrusters overheat versus ships with dedicated VTOL?
Completely bananas. Bodhi's going nuts right now.
Speaking of wind.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not gonna say how long. The VTOL engines will be more efficient in that because a good chunk of the main thrust is being used to hover. So VTOL capable ships will be able to hover longer before the engines overheat. But in general, the engines of all ships will not overheat fast. You will always have enough time to, land. Otherwise, it would be pretty frustrating.
Will we see more co-pilot interactions that will assist the pilot?
It depends what co-pilot actions are. If you think about one person takes the stick and the other one the rudders or something like that, not, because we usually only have one.
That's not what we're talking about.
One dominant seat that flies the ship. However, we're currently looking into, or will be looking into, changes into controller system soon, so that you can freely distribute what kind of weapon goes to what seat and all that. So you can basically distribute what item you want to control, and you can hand off. For example, in a Cutlass Black, you can hand off the forward-facing gimbals to your co-pilot behind you, and they can use it then. So stuff like that. But not mixing flight controls. That would be too hard to achieve.
It's not like what was that Millennium Falcon ride at Disneyland where one person controls the pitch and the other person controls the yaw.
That is strong network issues that I don't want to resolve.
My understanding of co-pilots these days are they just make all the announcements.
I saw you, Amana Planacy.
Or they do checklists and whatever. You can still roleplay that if you want to.
maybe work into the resource management gameplay there.
Yeah.
There's going to be plenty to
Talk about
do.
master modes. We got
There's
a couple
gonna be
questions
plenty
here about
to
master
do.
modes.
People are getting too worried about that.
What
There's
is the
gonna be
current
plenty to do.
backlog of ships needing to be converted to master modes? A couple, 30, all? I think it's like all of them. Like,
Well,
talk to me.
The proper answer is all of them. I mean I can't check how many flight controls we have, but we have like it's definitely in the triple digits. When we're gonna move this stuff over to the PU, we will not do it all in perfection at once. So we're probably gonna have like the speed tuning first. So basically limiting how fast the ships can go. And then we're gonna implement the actual handling changes of the ship archetypes, meaning like streamlining all the ships so that they feel similar, bespoke to the archetype that they're supposed to be in. And then we're going to go to the individual differences. So this will be like a multiple tier thing, which basically will take some time. I don't know how long that will take. I mean,
Sounds like a long time
this
to
will
me.
be on Rich Towler's team, so he can probably give you a better when answer. But it will be like it will come in multiple stages.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where we invite people to always look at the public roadmap.
You guys
That's your
feeling
best
that one?
indicator about when
You guys feeling that one?
a particular patch. Following up on that, how much testing has been done on industrial haulers, miners, and other non-combat ships when it comes to master modes?
Okay, so I don't think there's a lot. Okay, so don't misquote me here, but I don't think there's a lot of difference between combat ships and non-combat ships in Star Citizen. All ships are, first of all, they're ships. They have thrusters, they have shields, they have weapons.
Wait a second.
The civilian ships, they might have a little bit more protection than others, but they will all be like, they will all play by the same rule set.
Okay.
So we did a little bit of testing with like constellation-sized ships, but the thing is, like, the bigger the ships are, the more unique they are, and the harder they are actually to, put them into a pattern. So we actually did not test too much on the really large ones. But long-term, in terms of the combat gameplay, you can expect that fighters will not have an easy time around larger ships. So yeah, so that's all I can say about this at the moment.
Gotcha. So I don't know.
It's a very
the next
blanket
question here
answer.
says, how will master modes affect ships that don't use main thrusters, like the Kartual, the Santak Yai, or the Miss Fury?
Yeah, that's still the same tech below it. They're still gonna, I mean, like, certain alien ships will make them unique, but when it comes to like combat balance and gameplay, it's not just about the maneuverability, it's also about the the shape of the ship. Like, some of the alien ships, they have like a
Time
really
and duration
large
should be
profile,
based
so they're
upon
very, very
size
easy to
and
hit, versus
like
like
the size
an
of
arrow
ship.
that you
In my
looks at you and
opinion,
basically
when you're
disappears.
talking master modes, in my opinion,
so-
larger type ships should take
But
longer.
also here, like, the same
than
rules will
smaller
apply
type
there.
ships.
So in navigation mode,
It's a
they will
size
be
issue.
faster than they
It's
are in
always a
SEM
size
mode,
issue.
and
I'm sorry,
they will
Christy,
have
I'm
maybe
sorry.
slightly different SEM speeds. But how exactly these numbers going to be, this is up to first of all to
Under
the
that
tuning
logic,
process,
I'm
and
very
also then up
fast.
to
I'm
player
very,
feedback.
very fast.
So just to manage expectations, we'll not get this right in the
I'm like,
first.
honey, I'm going into
in the
master
first
modes.
try, right? We'll
She's
take
like, are
some
you
iterations
you're
to get
done
right.
already? Oh, sorry.
So
sorry,
it sounds
sorry.
like a lot of the master modes
very
work thus far is to single seat ships or individual craft. You said we've tried as big as a constellation. Have you thought about how master modes are going to affect ships even larger than that? Hammerheads up to like Polarises. Are master modes? Yeah. What do you got for us? Is this?
They will also still have the same. They will have the same rule set still, right? Like, when they're in navigation mode, their shields will collapse, their weapons will be off.
Right.
It's
And
for them,
duration.
it's more like if they want to escape from a fight, it's more about like how long they take up to spool up the drive and to align themselves and to get
Yeah.
out of there, right?
Yep,
and
yep,
how
yep,
long
yep,
they're gonna
yep.
be vulnerable. But at the moment in the PU, the larger ships, they're very, very vulnerable. That's not the intention in the long term. So like, as an example, if you fly a Hammerhead and you're getting
Well, if you're
attacked by
dropping your
6
shields,
fighters
you're
or
going to
something
be
like
more
that,
vulnerable.
in a Hammerhead, you shouldn't worry about too much unless that group of players or attackers is coming at
Second
you
you
with
go
very
master mode,
specialized
shields
equipment to take
drop.
down large ships. That's the moment when you need to worry. So, I mean, the rule set in general about how larger ships benefit or not benefit from master mode, there's not that much depth in there. It's mostly to make sure that combat stays close to each other. And
so you're not figuring in time because it's part of the quantum drive, and the spooling up of the quantum drive, it has nothing to do with the master moves.
You're not talking about the game as it is today.
You're talking about just basically
where you want it to go.
Yes. And push you in a vulnerable state.
Obviously, we have a huge international
but you should be more vulnerable because your shields are
first language. Some people could only just be half listening. I want to make sure we clear out. We're not talking about how it is now. We know how it is now. Everybody knows how it is now.
Yeah.
The work,
very aware of the issues.
The work of the Taking Flight presentation, the work of Yogi's team, the work of Master Modes and stuff is about where we're going with this stuff. And obviously, like I said, and it's not just your team's work. It's Torsten's resource management system. It's the Maelstrom with the physicalized damage system. It's all these things come into play with increasing the time to kill and and changing the ultimate experience of flying a hammerhead from what it is today to what we want it to be tomorrow. So, speaking of things that aren't implemented yet, we'll change things. Let's talk about armor. When armor is implemented, is there an intent for armor to prevent all damage below a certain threshold, alpha damage reduction, or will it serve more like a % reduction or even something else?
So we don't have the armor system yet, but the long-term design or direction that we got is that if you basically come with a ship with anti-fighter weapons against a large ship and you shoot at it with like anti-fighter weapons, the big ships won't care. It's similar like when you take a pistol and tank and shoot against a tank or something like that.
Good.
The tank doesn't care.
That's good.
Right. So we'll have similar situations there.
Yep. Ineffective. So a lot of small
what exactly these numbers are, whether they're going to be
that's a good
if there's
plan.
Going to be a threshold, or if it's just calculated based on the physical properties, I can't answer at the moment because we're still waiting for the system. We don't even have any idea yet how exactly to tune it. This will come up all when we have the first implementation from the physics guys, and then we can look into that.
Let's change gears here.
This is an appropriate sound effect, Pepe.
The turret gunner's experience. Any plan to make turret gunner's experience more desirable? For example, people love to gun on the Scorpius or Hurricane, but not so much in a Vanguard, Cutlass, Super Hornet, etc. What you got? Anything?
So right now, I'm actually working on the gunnery experience for the turrets. You've seen the precision targeting. Sorry, I need to think about names here because we called it ADS in the past, but it's called the precision targeting system on ships now. That doesn't work by itself on turrets because in turrets you're the gimbal itself that kind of leads the shots, right? So the thing I'm currently looking into is adding gimbals on turrets themselves, so that even on turrets you can go to the precision targeting mode and you have a little bit more gimbal control, and you can theoretically use manual and auto gimbal modes.
Interesting.
That will all add to that. Also, the new aiming system has enough flexibility built in so that we can exaggerate the performance or the weapon performance of a turret. We can, for example, easily by saying, hey, this guy, like this weapon, if you use it on a turret, it's 50%, has 50% higher projectile velocity or so. So there's quite a lot of like stuff that's happening.
Yogi's got a lot of work right now, man. I feel like he needs some help. I feel like this man needs some help. I can
why is a Scorpion good, but a Scorpion's good, but a Vanguard bad on the turrets? I don't really understand where the difference in the turrets are.
I'm feeling the same way, guys. I'm feeling the same way.
All the way around. So if there's like a difference in I don't know, in gimbal speeds or something like that, that's just tuning. So I would assume that over time, like these values will be a little bit more streamlined.
That's an interesting approach.
Alex McClay 2000 in the chat asks, what's the difference between armor, physicalized damage, and Maelstrom? Well, the physicalized damage system is like the overarching umbrella. That is everything that determines that is involved in a systemic physics-based damage and destruction system of
weapon, type of projectile or energy weapon,
outpost, whatever.
Armor,
Maelstrom is the destruction part. It's how those items break apart into physically based pieces, fly all over the place. Armor is the value of the materials. Whether it's everything has to have an assigned material.
It's got to be infuriating to go over this information over and over again. But you got to
sand,
for people new to this.
Then the third part that's not mentioned in there is piercing and stuff. stuff is ammunition and weapons and stuff being able to pierce through those things to damage damage subsequent layers and stuff. All those things and one or two more things that are escaping me right now all make up what's called the physicalized damage system. And we're actually hoping to have kind of a big kind of primer on this, which is why it's off the top of my head here, in the new year. Probably not until
Good. They need to focus on this.
March or April.
They need to focus on this, period.
There's still a couple more things we want to come online to be able to show you. But to answer that very question, but you can get the 10-cent version here.
It's on his calendar.
Will QEDs block a ship from switching?
It's been on their calendar for quite some time, you know, Fingers.
Switching into nav mode, no. But it will block the
Gotta be a patient
positive
man.
effects
Gotta
from
be a
being in
patient
nav
man.
mode. So if you are on a QED device, you will not enjoy nav mode speeds, but you will enjoy the lack of shields. So yeah, that's like you can always switch the modes, but the effects are the ones that will be inhibited.
So I mean, you can be a nav, but it's not really doing you any good.
Yeah, if you're getting attacked and you're on nav, you have an incentive to swap.
Here's an important question. Can we get the ability to drink a water bottle or eat food while in the cockpit? I wasn't being facetious about it. It's an importance. Being able to address your hunger and thirst while you're in the cockpit of your single-seating ship like a Gladius or something is pretty important. What can you tell us?
Isn't it an Inesh question? I don't know. Sorry. I mean,
Inez,
if you play games, like stay hydrated, that's important, right? So drink your water. Speaking of which,
I'll see if I can follow up with Inez and get the answer.
I'm sorry, I really don't know.
All right, then we'll go back to atmospheric flight. No, we already touched on that one. How are ships without wings or large VTOL engines, such as the MSR, expected to handle an atmosphere, if at all?
Oh, you mean the ships that have the aerodynamic profile of a brick?
Yeah.
They will still fly. I mean, we haven't completely discussed how well they will fly, but similar to the current aerodynamics model, like it would be unfair to lock out complete ships out of that experience and basically make it super, super realistic. It would also be very punishing if somebody buys an Aurora. I mean, Aurora is like the shape of a brick, right? So it doesn't have any lift at all. But also those they will fly. Not sure if for example, how we're going to tune it. I mean, theoretically we could give them a higher stall speed, so that people need to fly faster.
Branica.
Periods of time to keep their altitude or so. But I don't know yet. I mean, if a ship is sufficiently fast, it will always fly. But ultimately, also here it counts that the play experience is important, even if you have an aerodynamic ship. But like ships with like proper wings, that would probably just be a little bit better. Not that much better though.
I need those little fans that are in the winglets of the Aurora to work.
Oh yeah.
I need those to actually do something.
I've seen this amazing picture by some backer, which was basically like parts of the Aurora like popping out and becoming wings. I really love that. But,
I remember that.
I'm not sure if the ship team is up for it.
I remember that.
I'm not talking about hacked fan art. I'm talking about the wings have these little circular fans in them, just like the Connie does.
The Connie has these as well, or like I saw them at some point.
Yeah, but do they really do anything? Are they, with control surfaces, they're going to help? They're going to... These look like more like hover things, not like control. Like control surface mode is for like control surfaces. They only are active when you're actually fast. The Aurora has little wings.
Yeah,
it's a torpedo.
Take that offline.
All right.
He needs help. He needs
quantum
help.
boosting.
He needs more.
Has a lot
help.
of potential for fun exploration and travel, but the shake seems very intense. Are there already conversations internally around reducing the amount of camera shake, or will there be an option in the menu to reduce?
Right, Salad.
Yeah,
right.
So in general, when you see something on a demo like we did,
he's got a lot on the plate, man.
The thing that I started doing when I'm creating any kind of material for demos, I'm exaggerating the effects, because it's always easier to starting small and then getting like the max strength feel right, and then have somebody come in and like tweak it down than the other way around. For example, other effects like the zoom when you do a G-force boost or something like that. Somebody just turned it off although we had this in for ages. So that's why. So that's like the bottom line. Like these effects are really strong. And for quantum boosting, I don't think we actually did a shake pass. I mean, I think it might be maybe we did a shake pass, but in general, this. It's likely that
agree
it is too
with
strong
you,
and that will die down.
Absolutely, 100%,
there's this
bro.
other question about whether you should be able to turn it off or not. In Squadron 42, yes, you can basically turn this all off. In the PU, there's this discussion whether or not that should be possible or not, because once you disable things like G-force effects or things like camera shake and so on, you also have a much more stable aiming an aiming image in front of you, right? So we need to discuss that. I'm not sure if other PvP games like COD or so actually allow you to turn off camera shake. I think this needs to be discussed internally. So I cannot definitely say, yes, we can all turn it off. I don't know that. That's not up to me. That's a direct
Very accurate analogy, Fingers.
And of course, when you talk about,
this is why we do have to have patience.
A camera shake pass and stuff.
Yep.
It can have a shake pass.
This is game development. This is game development. This is the underhood of game development.
Back to back with nothing anymore. Meanwhile,
and it's not a AAA title.
Can't do 2 minutes of VR without wanting to throw up.
It's all funded by the fans.
Camera passes.
It's transparent.
Review passes
and it's going to take some time.
I get it. I mean, like. One of the most
people just don't understand the scope.
Fun things that I did to Bayer at some point was let him test the camera system, like the first pass of the G-force systems, and he really got sick from that because he really can't. He's getting really motion sick, which is I'm sad for him. So I get it. Like there's an accessibility issue, but I cannot give like definitive answers there. But the issue is known, and we'll talk about this in time before we move it over.
Right, Fingers.
Honestly, if you did, I wouldn't believe you anyway. Right now, it's too early in the thing. There's still too much development to go between here and there.
Yeah.
So anything can change. You know what they say? The only constant in game development is me. It's change. Will there be an option for a higher level of zoom and precision targeting mode for artillery ships like the Ares Ion and Perseus?
It's okay, Hugh. It's good. It's good, man.
I mean, I'm not sure. We'll see. So what the gameplay is not about, we don't have sniper gameplay or something like that, right? Like if you fire from like 8 clicks with an Inferno or with an Ion against a target, this is not sniper gameplay because the bullet will be traveling for quite a couple of seconds before it goes there. So this doesn't really work. So I don't think having a super strong zoom actually helps. The other problem with zoom is that if you have like a very tiny, like a zoom basically reduces the field of view to just a couple of degrees, right? Once you get down to like, I don't know, 10 degrees or something like that, you have the problem that the background might look really, really bad, like because then things like background texture resolutions come very much into play. Also, having such a strong zoom doesn't really add a lot. So, but also that the extra zoom strength are up for discussions. We'll probably just ship it out with the first revision. We might even have it too on different operator modes, where different operator modes have different kind of zoom strength. We might even change it based on the weapons. I don't know yet. So there is the potential, but there's not like I cannot just flat out say yes, we'll do it. This is would not be appropriate yet.
It's a bit of an FPS trope. I'm not saying it can't apply to spaceships. Just there's so many other things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand Ion owners.
With the new changes in the atmospheric flight system, will some ships like the M50 or the Origin and Origin series, I guess the 100, the M50 or the Origin 100 series land like airplanes instead of with VTOL?
Oh, I really would like to have that, but I don't see that in the near future. You mean because these actually have wheels, right,
yes,
on the landing gears? Yeah, I don't even know if they're actual if they're like moving wheels. I don't know. I mean, I don't see this right now. Like all of our landing pads are like pads where you vertically go down. I haven't seen any runways. Like I would love runways, but I don't see that in the near future. But with the aerodynamic system or with the control surface mode, you can actually glide in there like you would actually land like that. So yeah, I guess we'll have to discuss it at some point.
Just do it.
Jesus, Jared,
just do it. Just make them land like airplanes.
I mean, the Genesis Starliner.
or create a spectrum thread about this. And
It's going to need an airport or a spaceport. I want to see those Starliners come in like that.
If I build a
but
runway,
they got those fans in the wings for hover,
blue,
though.
pink and whatever. So it will not look good.
Okay. Let's talk about ship weapons, or more specifically, ammo. Will ammo for ship weapons ever be decoupled from the weapon itself? Right now, ammo is basically inside the gun. But will ammo storage that varies by ship archetype and carrying extra crates of shells aboard larger ships be a thing we could expect to see?
Dude's an engineer. He's asking.
We talked about this internally quite often, because from a balance point of view, this is also what I would like to see. Basically, sacrificing hard points for bigger ammo storage or something like that.
Ships aren't
at the moment we do not know how to properly do it. We had some talks with
I don't think you're going to see that
with Thorsten and the Resource Network people about how to do that, having ammo belts and so on.
But I don't think you're going to see that.
That could theoretically do that, but at the moment we don't have a
not on the
proper plan for that yet. Long term, we absolutely would like to have that, because it also allows, like, logistical mechanics behind that where you can just serve as an ammo barrel for somebody else.
I've been banging the table on that, fathers, for more realistic flying.
But in terms of like
satellites, balancing
it actually hurts us, because
physics.
Sometimes our weapons are mounted on different types, and if I have a size 3 ballistic repeater on a medium fighter versus on a heavy fighter, I think on the heavy fighter it should have more ammo, right? Because it's just chunkier and bigger. And at the moment we cannot do this. So this is actually an annoying problem for us as well.
Bloss, he's not saying there's no ammo reload. He's saying, will it be separated boxes and stuff? We still have, there are still ships like
physicalized cargo
Vulcan.
Items,
that's the other one
assets,
I'm thinking about and stuff. And so like
I
this.
think he understood the question.
It's talking about just complete separation of every single ammo type from every single weapon. And he's saying he wants to do it. He's just saying there's no active in progress thing for it, right?
It's been a pretty long one. I think we're like an hour and a half in, maybe.
Because usually we're balancing our weapons with a specific ammo type. But I mean, this can also change.
Fingers.
I mean, at the moment they're bigger.
You have to think about that as well. A separate container for every bullet, since it's physicalized. That's going to be like,
I'm just telling you, as you were talking, I was looking at my dumb face. I'm like, why am I seeing my dumb face when Nogi's talking?
I always see my dumb face when I start talking, because then my Zoom preview call swaps up to the other one, so I see me twice, just one time delayed. I would rather look at you into the face.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What other big ones? I mean, we're in OT right now, so let's see if we can make sure we get some big ones while we got you here.
Okay.
Why the choice to go towards space drag style SCM combat? One of the unique elements that Star Citizen had was the full 6 degree of freedom speed limit, with acceleration being the defining difference between ships. Did we drop 6 degrees of freedom? Did I miss a memo?
No, we did not drop 6 degrees of freedom. We just, so, I mean, it was always, I mean, ideologically or theoretically, you could say, yeah, we clamped down a lot of the stuff, but the flight model starts with always a speed limit, and we're still having the speed limit. We just made it lower, and with the boost space where the draggy stuff comes from, we made it a little bit more dynamic.
Because of dogfights, man. That's why they're doing it.
The thing is that we actually tested what fun combat engagement speeds are. So I think like 18 months ago, I did like a blind test. So I invited like people from PET and from BG.
It's like DCS versus Elite Dangerous. Pick one,
and just had them play PvP scenario as an arena commander. But I turned off the
in terms
acceleration
of flight style,
like the G meters and the speed meter. So they didn't know how much they accelerated, and they didn't know how fast they were going. And guess what kind of speeds they liked most?
No, that's good. That makes sense.
120 meters per second.
Yeah.
And I thought that was too low. So we basically pushed it up a little bit far. But I'm pretty sure that the combat speeds we have right now, so that they're so low, they're actually helping the combat geometry and the fun in the game a lot.
Carpe Gian in the chat is asking why Jared is so snarky today. Now I know what my mom's Twitch account is. Hi, Mom. And then the chat is like, today? Just... as time goes on, I become more and more me.
He needs a vacation.
Sorry, everybody.
Give the man a paid vacation. Chris, give him a paid vacation. He's losing.
We talked a few times about
he's got that crazy
flight
DG
services,
look in the eyes, man.
and what
I recognize
happens if
that
you
look.
don't have wings. But let's flip that here for this next question. Flight surfaces would obviously not function in all planets, as ailerons and rudders that work on Earth do not work on Mars and Venus, for example. So how will the ship's
Aether says, I
Earth
think
Atmo
lower
like
speeds
flight
will
control
work really
services
well
fare in other atmospheres like high density or low density worlds?
I mean, high density is good for aerodynamics because then the rudders get much more, or your control surface get much more authority. Low density is basically the same case when you come in down to a planet. And the air in this case is so thin that you actually cannot turn your ship. So in this case, the thrust is actually helping you out. The current control surface model actually has this transition period between 0 and 0.2 bar.
Yeah, it's a crazy time to kind of balance the fun versus the reality. It's not an easy thing. The
input or the acceleration output from the control surfaces and your thrusters are actually mixed, and they're being shrunken down the closer and more denser the atmosphere is. So when the atmosphere is dense enough, then the control surface fully take over. Until then, the thrusters still rotate you.
Same here, Limitless. Same here, dude.
There's this transition period, so it should
better
work
animation
out of the box.
coming down, even more
with,
like crazy animations going through the
atmosphere. It's your
atmosphere.
thrusters that are doing the work, not your control surfaces.
And let's see what we squeeze. Let's squeeze one more. Let's do a blue sky question.
Blue sky. Go.
Blue sky. What is Yogi's vision for the future of large, non-capital ship combat? Paint us a picture with words, Yogi.
So non-large.
It says large, non-capital ship combat, but
okay. What is a?
I just read that. That's what they wrote. Let's assume that they meant
copious
capital
amounts
ship
of
combat.
smaller ships.
I think that's probably what more people are interested in anyway. So paint us a picture.
Okay, so
don't write any checks, but just. This is what you would like. This is what you would like if we get to
That's
do
why
it.
I said it's
the
difference between DCS Limitless and Elite Dangerous in terms of flight model,
so
right?
Far,
it's like
this is not my vision. This is basically.
And then you got that slider in between where you want to go.
Management is giving us, or gameplay direction is giving us, but what we see so far is that we have like dogfighting, and the bigger the ships are, the more the combat will turn from dogfighting into a naval-style combat. So when you have big ships fighting against each other, they will not necessarily be like really close, but they will fight over relatively large distances, so there's enough space in between to fight. They will fire long-range cannons, they will fire torpedoes, they will fire other things, and the gameplay there resolves more around DPS appliance and trying to get the shortest time to kill on the other enemy. So, and if you have capital ships, as opposed to fires, they're going to have very deep gameplay with the resource network, where Torsten's a better person to talk about this, right? But where you maximize your damage output against other ships. It will also resolve, like the maneuvering for pilots will more resolve around exposing the strong sides of the ship. Like if somebody is focusing on the left side of the shields or something like that, then they would, for example, turn the ship around to expose the other side. At the same time, you want also to expose the sides of the ship that have the most working turrets, or maybe the turrets with the best loadout for attacking this or that target. So that is roughly what we're going for. So large ship will mostly be naval style combat, but of course in 6 degrees of freedom still. But it will not be dogfighting.
Okay, and then as I think I might understand the question now, so that's capital ships. And what about the sub-capital? I think it's probably what they meant by non-capital, sub-capital.
They're interesting, yeah. So it depends on the ship, right? For example, if you take a look like a constellation, the constellation.
Let's go bigger than constellation. Let's look at like Polaris. I know there's all this argument about let's assume there's Javelin up here. Now let's get smaller. Perseus, Polaris, Hammerhead, those kind of things.
It depends on the ships and what kind of roles they have. I can't talk too much about the Polaris, but for example, the Hammerhead has a specific role in such like a big capital ship battle.
Capital ship combat. You heard it here first, everybody.
So it has a specific role, right? And the other ships, it will care about the fighter power. It will not fare well against similar sized opponents that are purposely built to take down similar sized ships. So it depends always on the ship. Like some ships have like they rely a lot on turrets. Other ships like I'm just saying I want to say the Constellation here because the Constellation is a very forward centric ship. It has like these massive size 5 mounts.
What's up, Sketch?
Which face forward. So this thing like a ship like that is obviously not relying much on the turrets to do like the alpha damage against larger enemies. So there will be a transition period between the size of the ships and how they maneuver, but that's all combat details. But I mean, like the bigger the ship, the more it goes, the more it turns into this naval style gameplay.
That's the intent. I think you did well. I think you did well. It's one of those things like this is.
That's a good answer. And you better watch out for the Nautilus.
Obviously, there's going to be. I mean, even when I said it, I realized there's going to be arguments about what is a capital ship and what isn't a capital ship. People will generally go much slower if there's Nautiluses around. He said it was subcapital, and I just meant smaller than a Javelin. People, I don't have my whiteboard here with the full list and break it down and stuff like that.
We had some categories like what is a sloop or something like that. But the thing is, like, we do not have too many ships of these categories. So at the moment, like building a category about that is probably not that useful.
Right, it's inconsequential with
we'll
this.
see how it all plays out.
Yeah, but I think that's like that was where my dream for Star Citizen always was when I was a backer before I joined the company. My vision was my thing that always appealed to me was that capital style gameplay. Also, like a cannonball run style race.
Oh, that's great, Sketch. We'll do it next week. We just got done watching one before this, dude.
Come to gameplay, help us make it happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's we're getting there as all these fundamentals go in. There's we're gonna have to stop. We're gonna have to shit or get off the pot here eventually. Undo it. So
cool.
Just being real. I mean, it's got to happen. So
yeah.
It's only going to happen when Yogi gets more help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yogi needs a lot more help, man.
Thank you for answering questions from our community.
You can see it in their
folks
eyes.
who are watching, we're going to get up. I think we're doing a raid here. I think we're raiding Bognagus here in a few minutes. Before we let you go, if you haven't, check out yesterday's Inside Star Citizen with the reveal of the Sulin. It's true.
Listen, we watched, that was like an hour and a half long. If you're not a Star Citizen fan, how dare you? No. But if you're here on the morning show and you stayed through all that, I got an amen for you. Yes, means you love me. It means you love me. It means you love the others in here, and we appreciate you for sticking in there and listening to that. We are just super nerds about this game. We want it to be everything we've envisioned it to be, which is the everything game. And the way you fight, the way you fly, your equipment, your gear, the UI, everything about this game, we just suck it up, man. We love to listen about what the developers are up to. And these guys are tired, period. You don't ever hear any of the Star Citizen content creators really get into it about game development when it comes to the people working, making this become a reality. These guys are really tired, period. It's the reality of game development, the people working at these places making us the game that we want, man. And for people to call Star Citizen a scam at this point, it's ridiculous. You can look here, man. Yogi was tired, Inesh was tired, Jared's tired. You can see it in all their eyes. Plus, they're just getting over CitizenCon. And we're going into IAE today. There's a lot of people involved in this that are making this for us. And, bless them for doing it. And I think that a lot of Star Citizen content creators just don't take the time out of the day.
Okay, there we go. Now it's
to realize that. Oh, there's Bog. I love that they did that to Bog. Bog's a cool dude. All right, let's get back to the morning show, shall we?